Hello, hello. I'm Michelson. Excerpt 4 of Letter 2, which we will read today, covers the following essentially. Jesus' preparation by studying the Scriptures. His first public appearance at the synagogue in Nazareth and the congregation's reaction. And Jesus' departure from Nazareth and his going to Capernaum. Thanks so much for being here today. Enjoy the reading. Letter 2, Excerpt 4. Jesus gets ready. He recovers his health and studies the Scriptures. First public appearance at the synagogue of Nazareth and initial reaction of the gathering which, through Jesus' very attitude, turns out violent in the end. Jesus, liberated by the Father, leaves Nazareth and goes to Capernaum. While regaining my strength, I studied the Scriptures diligently to enable me to meet Pharisees and Scribes with confidence. It was also imperative I should know what had been written of the Messiah, because I was convinced I was he of whom the prophets had spoken. I could indeed rescue, save people from misery, sickness and poverty, even restore them to health and prosperity by showing them the truth concerning the kingdom of heaven and the reality of the Father. When I felt I was sufficiently prepared to go out and teach and heal, to please my mother, I agreed to go one Sabbath to the synagogue in Nazareth and speak to the congregation. As was customary, I stood up and was handed Isaiah to read. I chose a passage prophesying a Messiah who would release the Jews from every type of bondage. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to preach the good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim release to the captives and recovering of sight to the blind, to set at liberty those who are oppressed, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord. Then I sat down, saying, Today you have seen this prophecy fulfilled in me. There was shock and amazement in the men's faces, but I continued to speak, knowing that the Father would tell me what to say. The words came without hesitation. I spoke about my experience in the desert and related my vision of the baby growing into manhood, all the while, all unknowingly, wrapping himself around with mental thongs and chains, thus blinding and imprisoning himself in interior darkness and shutting himself off from God. I explained that in so doing, they expose themselves to oppression from conquerors, slavery, poverty, and disease. For God is light, I said, and light is the substance of all visible things. And light is love, which makes all things for man to enjoy. All blessings of abundance and health were freely available to him who loved God with mind, heart, and soul, and lived strictly according to the laws of God. When I had finished, there was complete silence in the synagogue. I felt that the congregation had experienced something strange and powerful and had been lifted to a higher plane of thought and wanted nothing to disturb the transcendent tranquility of that moment. Then the whispering started amongst themselves. They were wondering who I was. Some were convinced that I was a person, Jesus, whose family was known in the village, but others could not accept this, since I had spoken as one having authority. Unfortunately, I felt my old reactions to these religious men returning. I knew they had despised me in the past, and so I expected rejection. I slipped back into my old challenging attitudes and thoroughly angered them. Through my own human reactions, I invited disaster, and disaster I almost got. The younger men, urged on by their elders, rushed at me and dragged me to the highest cliff top to hurl me to my death, but I prayed to my Father for deliverance. Suddenly, it seemed they were so stirred up they hardly knew what they were doing and turned on each other, and I was able to slip from their midst and escape. It was strange. They seemed not to notice my going. Badly shaken by my experience, I managed to send a message to my mother saying I was leaving Nazareth immediately and was going down to Capernaum, a gracious town by the Sea of Galilee. At first, I thought to join old acquaintances, but I felt intuitively this was not the right thing to do. So, all the way down and on entering the town, I prayed for the Father's direction and help in finding accommodation. I had no money and would not beg.
Hello? So how was the reading? Here, Jesus makes his debut at the synagogue in Nazareth. He is handed the book of Isaiah and reads the famous passage. The Spirit of the Lord has sent me to proclaim release to the captives, to set at liberty those who are oppressed. Wow. One could say that in a nutshell, the great message of the great Spirit handed down to humankind through the wonderful figure, physical appearance of Jesus of Nazareth 2020 years ago, and reformulated in great detail in these wondrous letters, is a message of absolute freedom and liberty, that which only comes through universal unconditional love, so to speak. Okay, thank you for being here. Please subscribe to my channel by hitting the button below, and give me a like if you like this video, and thanks for sharing with friends. I'll see you tomorrow. Love you guys and girls.